Since the circumference of a circle is defined as 2 times pi,
Jake.
you measured... No, hold on.
What are you doing?
I know, it doesn't matter.
Holy shit, dude. Hey guys, welcome to Overcrest. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jake.
You are Jake. You are.
Good.
You are.
Yes, I am.
You are.
You know, I just realized because now we can like watch ourselves on the screen. I always do kind of like the head bob to the music. You don't do that anymore. It makes me sad.
No, I'm thinking. I'm always thinking.
Always
my
thinking.
brain is always
Just pensive.
I'm always thinking. Like I have no idea what's going on, so I'm thinking about what am I walking into here?
Son of a.
Yeah, what am I walking into here?
I think you're gonna like this episode.
Okay.
But rather than introduce it myself, as I always do, I'm about to let someone else have that honor.
Okay.
So, our topic today is...
And there's the finish line. Power! Power?
You try and we see.
Power! 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 Come on! Come on!
Jerry, that's too much! Oh my God!
What's that smoke?
You ruined the engine!
Come on!
Yeah, I guess he did.
Power!
So we're gonna let it play.
Power! Power!
And apply the power.
Power! Oh
Hello.
And then I'll figure out some way of the
Power. Power.
Exactly. I'll do the power. Let's get about our business.
Is that it? That's
right.
all the power?
We're talking about this entire episode is about power.
The power episode.
This is the Power Hour, baby.
Power.
Power Hour. Now on Overcrest.
Power. The most overrated thing on a car that you love.
Really?
I don't know. I don't like chasing power. I think you can get yourself in a lot of trouble chasing power on a
Yeah,
car.
but-
Because it never ends.
Well, especially in a 911, because it's
expensive.
never efficient.
It's a little easier to chase power in a small block Chevy than it is in a 911.
Big time. I
Yeah.
know. Part of me is like looking at that and going,
it's just
We
absolutely.
should just sell these things and get like, I don't know, Camaros
I
or
don't know.
something.
We should do an episode about the cars that you could get if you were to sell your 911.
That would be an interesting idea. Very novel.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, exactly.
We did that.
All
Okay.
right, power.
So
What about power?
As ambiguous and frankly, like I'm worried people might think it's kind of a boring topic. I assure you this is going to be interesting. So when we think of mechanical power, we think of machines.
Yeah.
Be it cars, trains, or even tools, right? Yeah. We're not talking about political power. We're not talking about electrical power.
We are talking about muscle power, kind of.
Yes, but I'm talking mechanical power. Okay.
Work.
Yes. And so since I like to think chronologically, especially with these deep dives to history,
Yes.
I tried to figure out what was the first powered machine ever
Powered by what?
in history.
By not a person?
Not a person or an animal.
Can I guess?
That is to say, what is the first machine built by humans that used energy from an external source, not human or animal?
Do I get to guess?
Please do.
I have two. How many guesses do I get?
You're probably not going to get it, so as many as you want.
Windmill.
No, actually.
Water wheel.
You're probably right, but I didn't do that.
Water wheel.
Sure.
It's probably the water wheel.
Water wheel. You just keep saying water wheel. No, so while it's difficult to find an exact record of the first machine, because I don't have record of like who did the first water wheel, but
There's
do
so
know-
much of human history that was not written down.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, there's
definitely not
enormous amounts.
Yeah, no, I did find this record though. This
Okay.
is the first, as far as I know, record of a machine.
Okay.
And it was in ancient Greece. They have records, and it pointed to one man and his invention. Philosopher and engineer Hieron of Alexandria.
Of course.
He lived right at the turn of the century
Where's Alexandria?
in Greece.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a Greek inventor.
I just said Greek
Oh, I
records.
didn't hear Greek. I just heard. Yeah.
This guy was an inventor.
Everything was Greek, and then it was Italian. The Greek and the
Roman.
Italians are just.
Well, and then it was Roman.
Romans.
because,
I
you
guess
know,
it's not
the
Italians,
Roman
Romans.
Empire.
Yeah. Those
That's-
guys were pretty smart
that's what
dudes.
they-
Plus
they-
philosophy.
philosopher and engineer.
Yeah. The power of the mind.
I know. So he lived right at the turn of the century. You know, the very first century. Zero. We're talking about zero.
Zero.
Not BC, not ACDC.
That's power and branding and rock and roll.
I like it. So he was fascinated by the power of steam, right? So his invention, the first ever powered machine to be recorded, was called the Aeopile. Aeopile.
give up.
Allopile.
Got it. It's a pile.
The Allopile is, picture this, basically a metal sphere with two nozzles coming out of it on opposite sides.
How did they figure out that steam pressure was a thing?
Well,
Like,
I have
what
a
was
later
the-
story about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
Like, what was the, like, how did we decide?
He probably like had a
You know what
bucket
it was?
that he
It was a kettle.
boiling. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a kettle,
Well,
and
yeah,
then
that's-
the lid started
you're
shaking
taking
around.
my story from later.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Continue.
It's okay. Sad. No, so the Aeopile, it's basically a metal sphere. It has jets on both sides.
You know what that means when I predict what you're going to say? We are just that.
So dialed in.
We are that connected.
Scary.
Over 400
don't
episodes
even know
of
if I
this,
like that.
that we're just.
Yes,
We're on the same wavelength.
We
Jake.
really are. I don't know if I like it. I don't want to.
I wonder if we're
I
wonder if we're hormonally synced.
like women can.
Yeah,
do.
like if there's a male version of that.
Oh God, I hope not. I really hope not. Okay, so back to talking about balls. Steel ball, it's got jets on it. You can see where this is going. You fill it with water, heat it up over a fire. The water boils, creating steam pressure to shoot out the nozzles, and it spins.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And so this
It's like
was in
letting a balloon
effect-
go. Like when
Yeah,
you blow it up, let it go.
This is in effect the very first machine ever built to harness an external power.
So what did this thing do? So you have this ball and it's
It
spinning.
didn't
What did
really do any work.
So they weren't like grinding wheat with
No.
it or running a shaft
Not
or
yet. No.
like an axle or any kind. Okay.
No,
we're
they
just
were
like,
not.
hey, look at this thing spin.
Right. And so, as we know, steam certainly remained the de facto method of powering machines for the following 1900 years.
So did this guy get rich, or was this just like
I don't know. He was a philosopher and wrote stuff. He's probably doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like,
Year zero.
who took that to the next level? Like, did he figure out that, boy, I could turn a thing with this thing with a pulley and a thing and make it
Well,
things?
Archimedes had his screw,
True.
right?
True.
I wonder when Archimedes was. We could look that up. But yeah, I'm sure that he did
Same
well,
time frame.
right? Here's the thing. If you weren't doing well already, you wouldn't have time to sit around idly and invent.
And yeah, and
You
boil
know what I
some
mean?
water and spin,
Yes,
spin
exactly.
a ball. Got it.
Yeah. So, but steam, that's
Although
really
there's
that
no
is the
internet.
thing.
It's not like he could go, like, we have to force ourselves to take a break from Instagram.
Yes.
This guy, what am I going to do today? I'm in Greece. It's beautiful outside.
Yeah.
I can either write shit down, read shit other people
I
wrote
can go
down.
in my it's not garage, but my stable and build stuff.
Yeah,
That
yeah. I mean,
sounds great.
the sheep are fine.
Yep.
I don't have any other shit that people wrote down that I need to read. So
There's
like,
no more things. There are no more things.
this is what I have to do.
So steam power. That's what we have for basically 1900 years,
Okay.
other than like water, what you're
Yep.
talking about. And so while we think of steam engines primarily used on trains, the first full-scale working steam locomotive wasn't even built until 1804 in the UK.
Why was the development of this so slow?
I don't really, it
It takes time.
it takes time, and also it worked.
There's
we
no-
had animals. Everything was horse powered. It's
Right.
fine.
It's fine.
We got it,
It's
right?
got it.
It's yes. So before
And anyone with money
1804,
had no desire to.
why would I worry about that?
Because it's not like
Yeah.
the peasant or the serf that's plowing the field
Has the time or
for
ability
the
to
oligarch. They don't
invent.
have the time or money to do anything, and the guy
Exactly.
at the top has no incentive
He
to
doesn't
invent
care.
because he's just eating the biggest turkey legs you have ever seen.
Wow.
You know, you see the picture of the king at the table, and he's got the
Being
enormous turkey.
fanned by like
Yeah.
palm fronds.
Why does he need to?
He's got
like,
the grapes with
what's
the
his
ladies.
incentive? You know what's interesting is this is around the Greek time of democracy
It was, yes.
and market. Like there was markets and
Oh, yeah.
democracy.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of turmoil too. There's a lot of war, a lot of bloodshed. But I wonder how much that
The
had to
Ides
do
of
with.
March,
Yes. So how,
which we just passed.
this
The Ides
is
of
like
March.
it's a prime example of, hey, maybe that's why some of that innovation actually happened.
Yeah. Turmoil sometimes breeds innovation, as we know.
You actually had a republic there, and there was a little bit more motivation to do
Exactly.
things and please people.
Yeah, so before 1804 with the steam locomotive, steam engines were stationary machines used for like mining, industrial pumps, and factories. And they were, in fact, extremely inefficient. So up until this point,
How
the
are we measuring
power-
that? How are we measuring the efficiency of a
Well,
steam
let me
engine?
just tell you what these steam engines were,
Okay.
and you decide yourself.
Okay. What it's wood is the fuel, right? So
you're
how many? Like,
burning
how do you measure? Are you measuring how many BTUs that the wood is able to?
No, let me tell you when I tell you this, you'll be like, oh, that's really dumb.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way that power was created by these initial steam engines was not from the pressure of the steam, which seems most intuitive. No, instead, at this point in history, steam engines were known as atmospheric engines or vacuum engines, designed to basically condense steam under a piston. So it worked something like this. Hot steam was directed into a piston at the top of its travel. A valve was then sealed shut, allowing the steam to cool and condense, driving the piston down.
That's so stupid.
Yes, I know. And they were essentially powered by the outside air pressure pushing a piston into the vacuum generated by the condensed steam instead of the pressure of the expanding steam itself. And it seems absolutely stupid thinking back now.
Can you imagine the knowledge that I have? Just me. I'm a regular guy.
This is the whole purpose of that stupid movie from the early 2000s with Paul Walker in it. And they go back to they go to medieval times. It came out the same.
Would you be a witch? Would you be burnt at the stake if I'm like?
Yeah, probably. But it came out the same time. You know, movies usually come in pairs or
yeah.
Remember
like
A Knight's Tale
trend
with Heath Ledger? This one came out the same time. Was it called Time?
So he basically goes back in
time, and he goes, "You guys, doesn't matter that we don't have weapons. We have all this modern knowledge. We know kung fu, and we know." It was really dumb.
Kung fu?
I don't know.
I'm
He was
talking
we
about
know martial arts.
I'm going back there and being like, here's how you solve for pi. Like the radius
you
of a
would
circle.
then be burned at the stake for sure.
You think so?
Oh my God, yes.
But what if I was
And
like,
I'm
hey
glad
guys,
you bring up pi because we're gonna have an entire math lesson at the end of this episode.
No. Well, everybody just tuned out. That's great. But imagine going back and be like, hey guys, if you actually capture the steam, you would be. I imagine what would it be like to take an iPhone back to the 50s to the dude that invented the television and be like, here you go, check this out.
Well, here's what it is.
I started doing it.
You would know this quote. Anything that is beyond the comprehension of technology
is magic.
It seems like magic,
Seems
right?
like magic.
Do you know what I'm talking about? You've heard
dead.
that?
Yeah, you're dead. You're magic. And
You are a magic man who is going to be burnt at the
That
stake.
is from the devil.
Yes,
is what that is. That tiny
100%.
screen with light beaming out of it.
100%
Yep,
devil.
hope you like toasty feet because you're going to be having them pretty soon.
Okay, so yeah, these steam engines are terrible, right?
Yep.
That does not seem efficient. You agree?
Yes, it's stupid.
Okay.
It's the stupidest thing ever.
Enter.
I cannot believe that they didn't realize that there was pressure.
Enter James Watt. James Watt was
Yeah.
he's involved in everything.
The Watt. Yes.
The Watt,
yeah,
he's
okay.
involved in everything. James Watt was a Scottish mechanical engineer and chemist born in 1736. Now, the story goes, Chris, that he was at home boiling some tea in a kettle for himself. The tea apparently got too hot and burst the lid right off the kettle.
Yes, it would.
Eureka. He was suddenly struck by the power of expanding
How
steam.
How did it take this long?
And it was inspired to invent the traditional steam engine that we think of today, which, by the way, was proven to be sort of a myth.
What do you mean?
That entire story created by his son.
Okay.
As
Like seeing the teapot.
Yeah, exactly. But Watts did, however, actually carry out many experiments in his lab where he recorded using a kettle as a boiler to generate steam. So there's some truth there.
Right.
But yes, he basically was the one that goes, look, we can totally refine this machine, right? So the steam engine was basically born with Watts' invention.
Here's what's interesting about this, though, is that the piston wrist pin crankshaft thing came before the steam engine.
Around the same time. Because here's the thing. The traditional steam engines that we were talking about before, these vacuum engines, their primary use was pumping water. Okay? Mainly out of mine shafts. So what they do, they have this thing up at top, and they would have a tube going down. So they'd create basically a vacuum with this. No, they'd close it up.
The cylinder goes down,
and it basically is just pulling water.
Okay, so it doesn't have a wrist pin, a crankshaft,
Yes,
any
it
of that
doesn't
stuff.
make what would you call it? Rotational energy.
Yes.
So yes, that's why it wasn't really there. So yes, James Watt, he makes this miraculous discovery, which doesn't really seem like a discovery, but the steam engine was born.
What are you talking about? That's a huge discovery.
I know, but it wasn't a discovery. It was just you realize you could do this better.
Well, isn't that how everything is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Regardless, the Industrial Revolution is now a thing. based largely because of this new technology, Watts patented and manufactured his own steam engines with this design and with great success. However, as with any new technology, people were skeptical, Chris. These EV cars, we're not totally on board, right?
No,
Right?
not at all. Yeah, no.
Well, let me tell you, people were not on board with the steam engine. Up to this point, the primary motive for doing any mechanical work at all was a horse.
Or an ox.
Or an ox, yeah, but usually horses, especially in this area. And so the story goes that one of Watts' first customers was a brewer. And he was so dubious of this steam engine that he basically made a bet with Watts, right? He goes, look, this machine, this piece of crap, it's all hooey, so I tell you what, you prove it to me, then I'll buy it. So the story goes...
What does this guy do? He does what?
He's a brewer. He makes beer. Yep.
Okay, so how is this going to help him?
No idea.
Okay.
No idea. No idea. Okay. I just know he's a brewer. Didn't go into specifics. But he said, hey, look, if one of these newfangled contraptions could match the work of a horse could do, I'll buy it.
Okay, so he's just talking about reaping.
There's no way it's going to do the same thing as a horse will.
Yeah, he's talking about reaping the wheat and the barley.
I don't think it's so much on the field. It's probably like turning a thing.
I suppose he's grinding. Maybe he's breaking
pumping water. He's using his horse.
Whatever it is.
Goes around on a wheel all day.
Yep.
Poor horse.
Yeah, usually a donkey.
Yeah,
horses
I know,
are way too valuable for that.
Right. So he tells Watts, he's like, look, if you can prove your machine can outperform a horse, then sure, I'll buy it. But that's never going to happen, right? Because he, the brewer, chose his strongest horse from the back of the stable, and he drove it to the absolute freaking limit. Right? He goes, this is as much as it can do, right? He's like, there's no way this stupid machine is going to outperform it. Well, Watts accepted.
That's called sandbagging.
Yes. Watts accepted the challenge and brought his machine that actually outperformed the work of the horse. From that day on, in order to basically quell people's skepticism, he marketed that his machines have horse power.
There you go, man.
That is the origin of the term horse.
What's the equation
power
for 1 horsepower?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Because he does all this.
Okay.
But before we get there, let's talk about our friends over at Petrolbox.
Yes.
Petrolbox, as we know, is a monthly service made specifically for the automotive enthusiasts. They carefully select items like tools, detailing supplies, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, stickers, publications. What else have we gotten? I'm just trying to think of everything.
Tools.
All sorts of tools. I love how there's usually themes to it. So you'll get like some tire dressing and then get a tire scrub brush.
Yep.
And you'll also get like a towel and microfibers.
You get pins, like little acrylic pins.
Every time it's usually a pin
get a sticker.
with a matching sticker.
Kids
with
always
a
steal the
matching
sticker.
pen that goes with the pin. It's awesome. So,
and if you're an import guy, they got stuff for you.
They have 3 different, basically, genres to choose from.
So if you're a Mustang guy, you're not getting
European,
Civic.
Exactly.
And if you're like a European
JDM,
guy.
European and American, I think is the...
That's the coolest part.
Which I love because my dad, I got it for him too, and I was getting it, and we both had the Jack's Wax t-shirts.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you got one of those too? And he turned around, and there's an old 32 Hot Rod, and mine's a 911. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, awesome stuff. It's a curated selection, and there's actually 2 different levels to choose from. The Petrolbox Basic costs less than $20 a month, while the Petrolbox Premium gets you even more gear for $39.95 a month. Check these guys out, mypetrolbox.com. I know the owner, John. He's great. I was just talking to him today. These guys really are cool. They're doing cool stuff. Check them out. It's a great gift. We always talk about it. And use the code OVERCREST at checkout. That'll get you a deal on your first month. You
know what else is pretty cool?
Tell me.
The Overcrest Drivers Club.
That's right. You talk about that while I find something to drink.
Yes. So we just recorded. Well, I had a thing. We just ended up doing a exclusive episode, which is something that we can give to all of you Drivers Club members, and we really appreciate you. You like really threw me for a loop by just leaving.
I'm really thirsty.
Jeez, dude. Welcome back.
Sorry. Thank you.
Welcome back. Drivers Club. Overcrestproductions.com/Drivers Club.
I thought you've done this before. You know how to do this.
I know, but you just kind of threw me for a loop a little bit.
Yes, no, we have exclusive access to content that we record. We just did a whole episode. Awesome episode. If you like this stuff, there's even more out there, and it just is awesome to be able to support creators that you like. If it's not us, support someone. It's cheap. $5 a month.
$5. That's it. Or $10 or $20, and you get different things for different levels. You can get a print from me if you want at $20. I don't sell prints ever. The only people that have prints of mine are Overcross Drivers Club members that have signed up for the tier to get it.
And me.
That's it. And you.
Which I am an Overcross member, a Drivers Club member.
Yes, I'm not.
Actually.
I'm not. I don't support
I know
us.
someone has to test how the workflows work.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a member. Anyway,
back to our story.
overcrossproductions.com/Drivers Club. Support the show. Support us. We would really appreciate it. It's only $5.
Did we tell you get early access to things?
You do. You do get early access to stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the concept of this horse-like power was perfect for the farmers and miners and basically the clientele that he's trying to sell to, as they knew how much work a horse could do. It makes sense. And it was kind of like, oh yeah, it's a horse-like power that this machine creates.
Yes.
But to better quantify this measurement, Watts set up an experiment with another potential customer, a coal mine, right? And he goes, well, let's see just how much work this thing does compared to a horse. So Watts would have horses walk around a wheel connected to a pulley system that would lift a load of coal. That's how they brought coal up traditionally from a mine shaft, right?
Yeah.
So you got your horse or your donkey or whatever it was.
So a little turnbuckle, walks in, wraps the rope around the thing.
Yes. And so he calculated that the weight of the coal, the distance lifted, and the time determined that a horse could lift an average of 33,000 foot-pounds per minute.
What's a foot-pound?
Well, he determined that 33,000 foot-pounds per minute would equal 1 horsepower. Basically he's saying he could lift
33,000 pounds, however many feet.
Yes, 1 foot per minute.
Okay, got it.
Yes. 33,000 foot-pounds equals 1 horsepower.
Okay.
Because he figured out his machine can do that same thing.
Right.
And this,
how much,
Chris...
Do you know how many horsepower a person has?
Yes, we're going to get there.
Okay, because I want to know how many pounds I can lift.
No, we will get there. But here's what's amazing. So this was in 17-something, 33,000 foot-pounds.
That's a lot of foot-pounds.
To a 1 horsepower. This is the calculation that we still use to this day.
Good. It gives us a standard.
Yes.
That's important.
Well, we'll get to that too. But the fact that he made this experiment to sell one of his motors and it's the same standard we use today.
How much coal can you... It gives a whole new meaning to coal burning.
Rolling coal, baby. So as for the actual power of a horse, well, Watts was pretty spot on. A relatively recent scientific study performed in 1993 calculated both the peak and sustained work rates of a horse. Citing measurements made at the 1926 Iowa State Fair, they reported that the peak power of a horse over a few seconds had been measured to be up as high as 14.9 horsepower.
Ooh.
For a little bit, like a sprint, right? However, for sustained activity,
without killing the horse,
of 1 horsepower on average is, in fact, accurate. Just for fun, the same study concluded that the average healthy human can produce about 1.2 horsepower briefly.
Okay.
And sustain about 0.1 horsepower indefinitely.
I'm proud of that.
They even calculated some examples kind of outside the average, right? So they found that the famous Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt produced a maximum of 3.5 horsepower for 0.089 seconds.
When he launches off the blocks, basically.
Yep, it's basically 10 seconds into 0.89 seconds into the full sprint 100-meter dash. His world record run in 2009.
Good for him. 3. I love watching the Olympics back in the day. They suck now.
I haven't watched any of it. I don't know.
Disappointment.
Anyways, back to our discussion. Horsepower. There is a distinction that should be made here, Chris. So power is not the same as force.
What's the difference?
Force is the measurement of the influence or a push on an object. Power is the rate of work or force being applied over time. So think of it this way. You can apply, say, 100 pound-feet of force on a torque wrench, but the amount of power exerted depends on how quickly you're turning the bolt. Because you could sit there all day and just do it real slow.
Right.
That's not the same amount of power as doing it quickly.
But it is the same amount of force.
It's the same amount of force, right?
Got it.
Which, side note, the measure of pound-feet is a whole rabbit hole I didn't realize I needed to fall down.
Okay.
So strap in.
I'm ready.
First of all, you'll notice that I'm using the correct unit of pound-feet as opposed to foot-pounds.
I always get confused, like which one I'm supposed to use.
So here's
Can you please clarify
where
this for
things get complicated.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Both terms are
I'm always scared I'm going to seem stupid to somebody.
Here's how because I kept writing it, and I kept having to go back and check.
Yeah.
You pound your feet. You can't foot your pound.
You pound your feet. Okay, great.
Yes.
So it's pound feet. It's
pound feet. Yes.
Okay.
So Okay, first of all, yes, it's complicated. Both terms are relevant units of measure or real units, but they're not interchangeable. Pound foot or pound feet is a unit of torque and a vector measurement that is created by 1 pound of force acting on a 1 foot lever.
Okay, and the
So
vector
think of a bolt.
is the direction of the force.
Right. So basically, think of a bolt, right?
Yep.
And so you have to be trying to rotate the bolt, and that 1 pound at 1 foot is that twisting action that you're feeling.
Yep.
That is 1 pound foot.
Okay.
No, 1 foot pound.
Yeah, pound your feet.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yes, pound foot.
Okay.
The foot pound, on the other hand, is a measurement of force over a given distance. So 1 foot pound force is the energy required to move a 1 pound object 1 foot of linear distance.
So that's the one we care about.
So this is, no, because think of it. A foot pound this is a 1 pound object, and I'm moving this. You can watch me. I'm just sliding a 1 pound water bottle across the table 1 foot.
Yep.
That is 1 foot pound.
Okay.
That is totally different than the pound feet of trying to rotate a bolt.
Okay.
Right? That's the difference.
Okay.
So one measurement is a scalar and one is a vector, which is...
Guys, for you guys listening and watching,
Yeah.
I'm fucking lost.
I think I have more analogies here.
Okay.
So one is a scalar, one is a vector, which is a fancy way of saying they measure different things. Just so you guys know, the industry standard for measuring an engine's power output is set by the Society of Automotive Engineers standard J1349, and it lists it as pound feet.
Okay, so it's pound feet.
It's always pound feet.
That's the one we care about.
Yes. And this is where
When we're bragging
Yes.
that it doesn't have any horsepower, but it's got lots
you
of
gotta pound
torque.
your feet because you're excited.
Yes.
It's pound feet.
Pound feet.
So the confusion over units of force can be traced all the way back to our friend James Watts again. He measured that 1 horsepower equals 33,000 foot-pounds of force per minute. But keep in mind that that is the literal pulling force of a horse. I just said it wrong, didn't I? It's pound-feet of force per minute. Basically, when he was doing his horse calculation, think about it. He wasn't measuring rotational. He was measuring how much the horse could pull.
In a straight line.
Yes.
Yes.
Not rotational torque value. So to understand the relationship of torque and horsepower, I'm going to go through a little math. I'll make this really quick because I realize I'm already losing you even.
Yeah.
So if you divide the 33,000 foot-pounds per minute into seconds, first of all, you get 550 foot-pounds. We divide that 550 foot-pounds into the rotational engine speed of an engine, which is generally, of course, measured in revolutions per minute. And you convert that to radians per second. A radian, by the way, is the ratio of the length of an arc in a circle divided by the length of the radius. Doesn't matter. Since the circumference of a circle is defined as 2 times pi,
Jake.
you measured... No, hold on.
What are you doing?
I know, it doesn't matter.
Holy shit,
It doesn't
dude.
matter, but some engineer is like, I'm really happy he's doing this. Yes. Okay, whatever. You mentioned pi. I said there's going to be a whole math lesson here. You multiply RPM
Do you know
by
what?
this number.
What level of math I went through in high school?
No.
Algebra.
Oh,
That's
geez.
it.
Boy.
I didn't even take
This
geometry.
isn't doing anything for you then, huh?
No, I am not the engineer that's like, I'm so glad he's talking about that.
You don't care about radii and radians and ratios of radians to arcs?
I know what a vector is. I'm proud of that.
Yep.
It's a car
vector?
that they
That's good. Okay, here's the last. I'm just going to skip to the bottom here because this part's kind of interesting, okay?
Okay.
So you get your 550 foot-pounds, comes out to 5,252. So horsepower, the calculation, this is the bottom line, comes out to torque.
You know when you're in the shower and you're bored and you just start reading the shampoo bottle?
I know. But it doesn't matter. We're past all the boring math, and I'm going to get to what's interesting.
Okay.
Okay. All you have to know is this one equation. Horsepower comes out to torque times RPM divided by 5250. And what I was going to explain in that whole section above this is where that number came
That's
from.
how you know when people's dyno charts are liars.
Exactly. Every single dyno graph you see that shows either horsepower and torque curves overlaid RPM, the two curves will always intersect at 5250. It's math. And I was going to explain why that is, but
Please don't.
But we're not.
Please stop.
Okay. Yeah.
Please don't.
Here's what we'll get to. Horsepower, of course, is not the only unit measure of power. So there are other ones besides the old-fashioned horse. First, let's get the obvious ones out of the way. You may see variations on wheel horsepower, where you got RWHP, rear wheel horsepower, all wheel horsepower.
Yeah.
It's obvious enough, just the measurement of a car's horsepower at the wheels.
With the drivetrain lost.
Correct. As opposed to brake horsepower, which is measured at the flywheel. And
Why is it called brake horsepower?
I don't actually know, but it is.
Okay. Is it because something?
BHP.
Is it because something breaks?
No, I think it's like they use a braking
break on the
dyno
dyno all the time.
True. I don't know, but that's basically at the flywheel, so
Okay.
it doesn't take into account drivetrain loss, as you were talking about. Then we have the mysterious
Guys.
PS.
Never dyno your car
Why?
unless you're tuning it.
Why?
Because it's just disappointment. The only chart that matters is the one that is gluing your ass to the seat when you hit the gas. Never dyno your car. It's not worth it. It's a waste of money. It's only going to break your heart. Every dyno is a heartbreaker. They're all heartbreakers. They never make as much power as you think they are. And it's going to make all your time and all your effort.
I do think it's funny people that care about that. They're always like, well, what brand dyno?
Yeah,
because
was
they
it a
read
Mustang?
different.
Was it a Mustang
Oh,
dyno?
it was a Mustang, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's It's just, yeah. Give me a break. Just don't dyno your car. It's not worth it. You don't want to know. What's interesting is like all these manufacturers use their own in-house engine dynos, which I always find interesting.
Yeah, is that calibrated?
What is that calibrated to? Like, how do we know?
What's even more interesting, and actually paramount here, is they also use different measurements of power. Do they use horsepower or PS?
Yeah, PS.
Have you seen PS? So this mysterious PS.
That's European, isn't it?
Yes, you see it elsewhere.
Well, they're
in the world,
wrong.
Namely Germany, which is no surprise since PS stands for Pferdestark, which is literally just translates from German as horsepower.
Okay, so
it means
good old
horsepower in German.
Do you think the horses were different?
Well, the metric of horsepower, as it's sometimes known, is actually measured but a bit differently than its American horsepower. It's defined as the amount of power needed to lift a 75 kilogram of mass 1 meter vertically in a 1 second.
Yeah, well, they're doing it wrong. That's all we need to know.
The difference is 1.4%.
Look, guys, Germans, we invented the steam thing.
Yeah.
With the horse and the coal and the brewery.
No, we didn't. That was a Scot.
Oh, shit. Was it? Well, it wasn't German, okay?
Jesus. 1 PS equals 0.986 horsepower. So you can think of PS
close.
as horsepower plus a couple. So moving right
horsepower
along,
plus.
We have the official scientific measure of power, which is the kilowatt.
Yes.
And if this rings a bell, it's due to our good old engineer James Watts again.
Mr. Watt.
Yep, for which it is named. A kilowatt.
Unfortunately, Scotland, apparently.
Yes, is the official SI or International System unit based around the meter, kilogram, and joule second that make up the metric system. For purposes of translation, 1 kilowatt equals 1.34 horsepower. So they're all right around there.
I think I have situational ADHD.
I know you do.
Because I'm just, as soon as you started saying like joules and watts and stuff,
And
I was like, I cannot help it.
Okay, well, we're getting past it.
Okay.
We're getting past it. Now back to the fun stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so just for the sake of sheer silliness, hit Chris, and to bring you back in.
What is the measure of friction for a tire when it's on the pavement? Do you know that?
That is,
What's that called?
Friction unit.
Like what is the measurement of a tire? Obviously, we think of like tread wear and we think of how soft a tire is. But what is the
it's the same. Friction is a type of force that opposes relative motion between two objects. Hence, friction will have the same unit of force. It's still newtons.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So it's still newtons or kilowatts or whatever?
No, kilowatt is power.
Has to be motion. Okay.
Yeah.
Force.
But
Got
Newton is just for the force.
It's resistant force. It's just
resistance force. That's
okay.
all
What's
it
the
is.
metric? What's the unit of measurement for friction?
I just said Newton.
Oh, it is Newton.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's newtons.
Yeah.
What's a Newton? Is that like how far it takes for an apple to fall from a tree in your
Newton
head?
is a foot-pound.
Oh, okay. I'm just thinking of Isaac Newton and his apple.
Yeah, well, that's why he was named for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just like Watt. Like they used a lot of the inventors when they named
It's clever.
these things.
It's very nice.
Very clever.
They could have named a street after the guy, but I guess naming the whole situation
I'm
is fine.
sure there is too. Okay. Silliness, Chris. I'm bringing you back in.
Okay, bring me back in.
In the spirit of good old-fashioned horsepower, you need to realize that you can, in fact, measure power by any animal, right?
Right.
If there's a conversion, then let's do it.
Let's strap a squirrel to this thing and let's
Well,
go.
we got donkey power.
Ooh, okay.
That is approximately a third of a horsepower. Or
much cheaper, though.
Or the
Much cheaper.
infamous,
arguably more reliable.
The infamous llama power or llama thrust,
What do
as
you mean
was
infamous?
made famous by Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So if you just Google llama thrust, it's like a whole culture on the internet now and a joke and a meme. Because apparently on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire years ago, it was like, what is the unit of power? And it's like horsepower, llama thrust, and there was a couple other dumb ones.
The guy chose
guy chose llama thrust.
Dude, that guy.
Or like he had to ask the audience. And the audience, like jokingly, it was almost half and half llama thrust, I think. Anyways,
so it made him second guess himself a little bit.
Yeah,
that dude went home to his wife, and she was just like,
God. Nope.
On the couch.
Nope. So a llama thrust is for some reason equal to 2/3 of a horsepower because
better than a donkey.
Yeah, something with speed, I'm sure. I don't know. Duck power, thanks to some obscure research, we know that an average duck has about 0.238 horsepower. There's also dolphin power. The average dolphin produces 7.25 horsepower.
Wow, pretty good.
Something about swimming is like more efficient.
Well, yeah, you can exert a force over your entire body on the water.
Exactly. So that's the history and science of power in a nutshell. But we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a bit about powerful things. Yeah. So back to our inventor, James Watt.
Like government.
No, that's not the type of power. I said that right away.
You're right. My bad.
Okay. So James Watt, who coined the term horsepower, after a success in bringing the stationary steam engine mainstream, using the technology for actual locomotion didn't take long. Now, when it comes to steam trains, we did an entire series on the topic, Chris.
It was one of my favorites. I love steam trains.
The Indomitable Iron Road. So I'll leave the specifics out of this story. Go back there. Check that out.
How much power did these trains make, Jake?
Let me tell you. I'm glad you asked. So the most powerful steam locomotive ever built
was in Back to the Future 3.
No.
Yeah, it was so powerful it traveled in time. It's a very fast, powerful train.
Yeah, this one I didn't write it down, but it'll do 70 still.
Oh, they're incredible.
But this is the biggest, most powerful steam locomotive ever built. It's the Union Pacific Big Boy locomotive. They're built between 1941 and 1944. A total of 25 of these behemoths were built, weighing over 1.5 million pounds dry, with another 500,000 pounds accounting for the 14-wheeled tender car.
Which has all the coal. Yeah.
Has 14, which carried 25,000 gallons of water plus the coal. I did all the math. That's well over 1,000 tons
of coal.
No, just the machine is 1,000 tons. So this thing was designed to pull 3,600 ton freight trains over the Wasatch Range between Utah and Wyoming.
Jesus. Well, yeah, you got to go up.
They got to go up. It had a pulling force of over 135,000 pound-feet.
How much?
135,000 pound-feet is what it could pull. So the conversion to actual horsepower is rather
complicated. Take that, Power Stroke.
Yes, it is. Yeah, the conversion to horsepower is complicated, and I already went through all that. But
why is it complicated? Why can't you just do it? Because that amount of axles there are, or
no, I can do it, but it's because trains don't do it very quickly, right? And so force is not as impressive as the horsepower. Basically, it made 7,000 horsepower.
Good God. Okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the torque behind it, though, is astronomical, right? So while steam power was in its heyday a new form of power, it was just emerging, the internal combustion engine was next in line, right?
Well, we're talking the 40s here for this train, 1940.
I know, but that was the last.
That was the last. That was the pinnacle.
What's interesting is when they switched to diesel electric trains, they still had to use this guy to go over a lot of the mountain passes.
So they would switch trains, and this thing would pull.
Or it was just like if there was a run that they knew they had to go from this to this, and it's all up in the mountains, yeah, we'll still use the old big boy.
When did they stop doing that?
I think the 60s or 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. I was surprised to learn. You know, you were talking about, the American, James Watt. Yeah, that wasn't true. But did you know, and this is the first time we've talked about this, the invention of the first internal combustion engine is actually attributed to an American.
I thought it was Mercedes.
George Branton invented the first commercially available liquid-fueled internal combustion engine in 1872.
Take that, Germans.
This was before those Germans got to it, with one Nicholas Otto working with Gottlieb Daimler, Wilhelm Maybach, and of course Carl Benz in the 1880s.
I really thought that's who it was. I thought it was them.
No, it was.
They
Benz
were the first
who
car.
Made the first car,
but not the first combustion engine.
But this dude made the first engine. Yes, that was followed, of course, by another German, Rudolf Diesel, in 1892, developing his
you love that guy.
Compression ignition terrible engine.
No, it's not.
Nope. Cars have never been as powerful as they are today.
So why don't they have gasoline electric trains, Jake? If they're so crappy.
A train is a perfect use for a diesel.
We're talking about trains right
Tractor
now.
Is a perfect use for a diesel.
Yeah.
Some trucks are decent uses for diesels.
But no
Everything
cars.
else, nothing.
No
Nope.
cars.
Get out of here.
None.
Get
Not allowed.
the hell out of here.
No, not allowed.
No.
Even if they make 1,000 pound-feet of torque.
Hey, who cares? I want horsepower. This episode's about power, not torque. We just established that.
Okay, continue.
Do you want to know about the most powerful cars ever?
Yeah, sure. Are we talking factory cars?
We're going both ways.
Okay.
First, we'll go factory cars, production cars. What's the most...
Production car would be the Hellcat with 900 and... No. Veyron?
The Veyron is at the bottom. That's my bottom rung.
Okay.
At
These are
1,000
production
horsepower.
cars?
Yep. 1,000 horsepower was the 2005 Bugatti Veyron. Believe it or not, Tesla's 2021 Model S Plaid
Can we just come up with a different measurement
was...
for electric cars? Because I'm so sick. There needs to be an asterisk.
1,020.
Needs an asterisk next to it.
Here's the thing.
1,020, but they're cheating.
This is it. This is it for internal combustion cars being at the top of the
Forever. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so I'm going to guess Lucid Air is in there.
I only did two more because it just it's pedantic at that point, right? Yeah. So the other gasoline powered car that I think will probably be the last and most powerful is the Hennessy Venom F5, which was sold just last year.
That's not a production car.
No?
Yeah. I mean,
I know what you mean. It's not a mass production car.
What about the Aston Martin Valkyrie? What does that make?
The Valkyrie.
That's got to be close. Well, it has an electric motor in it. It's like 900 horsepower.
Then yes. So the Venom had 1,800 horsepower.
Jesus.
But the most powerful production car to date of recording was once again electric, which is the new Lotus Evija, which is out this year, has 2,012 horsepower electric.
Great, but how many newtons can the tires do?
Right.
I know. That's what it all comes down to at this point.
Yeah, of course, as we talked about, those are just production cars, or at least cars you can buy. One of my favorite race cars, though, we should talk about.
What is one thing, before you get into the race cars.
Yes.
What is the number two thing? Power, obviously, is one of the most important measures. I was kidding earlier when I said power doesn't matter. It really fucking matters.
Yeah, okay.
So you have power, and what else do you care about?
To what?
Power and?
Speed?
Weight.
What? Oh.
The power to weight ratio is one of the most important factors of any of this.
Of performance. Yes, for sure. Yes.
Because then, hey, it's the amount of work that we're doing against a given weight. I'm trying to be smart right now. Is it working?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Nope.
I was trying to
I just did the
smart.
thing, too, where I just started zoning out.
Yeah, see, I barely even started talking about a ratio of something or another, and you're on the floor.
You're saying. Just redact, false information, non-verified, redact. All right, race cars. We're just going to go through these quick because we're getting there.
Okay.
I just honorable mention the 917. 917-30.
Flat 12.
Rumored to produce more than 1,500 horsepower in qualifying trim.
We're talking about the Can-Am, the 917-30.
Yep, 917-30.
Yep.
Another interesting and widely powerful motorsport.
What's interesting is that car and the Audi Quattro, like the whole Group B Can-Am period of time was where everybody was like, nope, that's it. Yeah, things are too fast.
We got to pull the plug, guys.
We got to pull the plug on this. And it's how sad.
I know.
How sad.
Well, I know.
I wonder if we would look back at that if it was actually good or not.
That we stopped that?
No, that we, just the racing of that period of time, like seeing the 917-30, you wouldn't have known.
Oh, you would never know.
You would never have known that, wow, that's honestly, a 1,500 horsepower.
Our kids or our grandkids might be like, dude, you were like the last people to see gasoline Formula One motors.
No, they're going to have synthetic fuel. We already went through that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're going to have synthetic fuel for a while.
I don't know. There's got to be something, though, that we're kind of the last of it.
Yeah, well, we're driving classic cars. We're the last of that.
Yeah.
That's
we're buying the last new gasoline cars. That's weird, too.
That's true.
That'll be what it is.
Yeah.
You could go to the showroom floor and buy a gasoline-powered car.
That's why I have the Golf R. I wasn't ready to buy...
You just walk in there and you probably had your horse with you and you're smoking your pipe. Those were the weird old days, right?
You killed the environment. You ruined it for us.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. I wasn't ready to buy a Golf R. I didn't want to, but at what point I felt like the Golf R, in terms of my evolution as Volkswagen fan, European car fan, I'm like, the Golf R is it. I have this opportunity right now.
Yeah.
This one has 9,000 miles on it. It's basically a new car.
Right.
I'm never going to be able to do this again.
Yeah.
This is it. So I bought one so I could experience it and own it, because it ain't ever going to happen again.
Yeah.
Unless it sells for $400,000 on Brain Trailer in
Which it undoubtedly
2042.
will.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, yes. You should probably hold on to that.
Well, it doesn't have 9,000 miles on it anymore.
True. Never mind.
That's for sure, considering it's 50 miles to this stupid place every day, every week.
All right, continuing on with motorsport and power. So I was just like Googling like motorsport, most powerful like cars, race car stuff. What is a motor sport that I did not ever think of, and you will not think of, that has the most powerful things?
Tractor pulls.
Yes!
Of course I think of that instantly.
I was like race cars, powerful race cars. It's not a race car, but holy
I've never been to a
crap.
tractor pull.
Really?
No.
Not even like a little county fair one?
No, I would love to.
Dude.
I would love to do it. It would be a lot of fun.
Yes, it is. My son has already been to a tractor pull.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Maybe you love him more than my dad loved me, I guess. Jesus, dude.
So the NTPA Championship Pulling Series
National Tractor Pull
limits horsepower of competing tractors to 5,050 horsepower
Per engine or total?
per engine.
Yeah, exactly. Man, those are some great videos, man.
Just nuts. And I love it when the engine just
Just falls
throws
off.
up. Yeah.
Literally the transmission throws the engine out of the thing.
so
what do
good.
they do? They drop that thing into the
sledge, dirt. Yep. And so but it's as you progress, it gets
further into the dirt.
right. It basically just the wheels come up on it, so you're just dragging it down. And my favorite are because these guys are full throttle the whole way. And so they want to keep going because it does like stop all of a sudden.
Yep.
So a lot of these guys, they'll be coming like right up to the end and they'll still just have full throttle. I love it when they just keep going past the course. Have you ever seen that?
They just continue to drive away. Yeah. So this is the guy that obviously has more than 5,000 horsepower per engine.
Yeah, probably.
Is what I'm going to guess.
That stuff.
What are
is
they?
nuts.
Where are these engines in these things?
It's either there's
gotta be
three
like
main
methanol or
categories.
something like
Three
that.
main categories. You have gas V8s that are supercharged.
But diesels.
Diesels
Yeah.
you have,
Yeah,
of
'cause
course.
guess what?
For a tractor, yes. For a tractor, yes.
For any time you need a lot of power and you need to do a lot of work.
Yes.
You
Or
diesel.
the really big ones. Do you know where I'm going with this?
What are they?
Turbines.
Are they really?
Yep. Yeah, they're strapping those turboniques down there, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get you to a
I'd like to
tractor
do
pull.
it.
Yep.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, then of course we have drag racing. A top fuel class nitromethane dragster puts out over 1,000 horsepower.
Easily.
Yep.
Easily.
And you experienced that. We both did last year. Yeah.
If anybody, we should set up an Overcrest thing where we can all go up to Brainerd for the National Hot Rod
That'd be really fun.
thing, where we all go up there and
Yeah.
experience it. Because Brainerd, believe it or not, is a really good top fuel track.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very good track, and a lot of people go, and it is phenomenal.
It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun up there for sure. Okay, so those were kind of like vehicles. There are of course other machines that produce more power.
Okay. The He-Man?
The absolute power!
What is that from?
You don't know that?
Absolute power.
Aladdin, the original Aladdin.
Oh, geez,
Where
yeah.
it's Jafar or whatever
Yeah.
becomes the genie. So one of the most powerful machines that can be quantified that I could find.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Is diesel engines in a ship.
No. Nope.
Really?
No. Yeah. not
Because
even-
those are
not even
massive.
close.
The pistons are as big as this table.
Yeah.
Not even close. Okay, the space shuttle.
No, it's harder to quantify actual power, but you can. I'll get there. But even that isn't as powerful as this.
Good grief. Okay. A nuclear bomb.
I'm gonna get there.
Okay, we're getting
But
out of
that's an
control.
honorable mention.
Okay. Okay. The sun.
Kind of. The PG&E Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant. Specifically the generator set that is run off of the nuclear power. Each turbine can output 1.2 gigawatts of continuous power for years at a time if required.
So, how do we transfer gigawatts to horsepower?
The connected alternator produces the equivalent of 1.6 million horsepower.
Over what time?
Just all the time.
Just
all the time.
Just gonna have that.
Yeah.
You know, I always wondered, can we just have mini nuclear reactors in our cars?
Yeah, we were gonna do that, remember? And then we realized that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's
that was 1950s.
Yeah, that was our Drivers Club only episode that we just recorded.
That is a terrible idea.
It's not. Yeah, it's not
terrible
a
idea.
What if we could have like little mini nuclear reactors for each neighborhood?
Yes,
like
they also wanted to do that, and that also is a terrible idea.
It's safe.
Uh-huh.
It can be safe. As long as it isn't operated by Russians or on a fault line, nuclear power is extremely safe and efficient.
Okay, but there's also people that like to wreak havoc.
That's true.
That's the big problem.
I suppose if you're going to drive a bulldozer.
Because here's the thing. Even if it's a teeny little one for each neighborhood, when the fallout of that thing going critical is going to just cover the whole state.
It is.
And they go, oops.
Yeah.
And then it's a chain reaction because all the other reactors then in the blast zone are also going to go critical.
They just bury it underground.
We also established that is problematic. That one was
Radioactive Kitties.
Radioactive Kitties. That was another very fun episode. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. The last thing, speaking of nuclear power, because you mentioned it and I also was curious, if we don't care about mechanical energy
and being able to turn it into
something,
yeah,
by far the most powerful thing humanity has ever created, bar none, is the nuclear bomb. On the morning of October 30th, 1961, the Soviet Union carried out the test of the Tsar bomb.
The biggest bomb ever detonated.
Biggest, most powerful nuclear weapon ever created, tested in history. It's a hydrogen bomb. It released over 50 megatons of energy.
Are you sure it was mega or is it kilo? Mega. Wow.
Yeah.
Mega, bro.
So this amount of power is truly incomprehensible. But since we learned we can just about have anything converted to horsepower, I took the time to do it. The Tsar bomb made the equivalent of 75 billion horsepower.
Billion. What have we done as humans?
Yeah.
What have we done?
Anyways, there you have the history of power, horsepower.
So I bet everybody's kind of wondering what happened with my 911 and where it is. And I went and got it and picked it up from Marco and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
I was going to say tomorrow, but Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
But
we'll
no,
get to
Tuesday
that.
for you people.
Tuesday, Monday,
people.
yes. All those.
You could have it earlier, though, guys.
Yeah, if you were a Drivers Club member,
That's
you'd
right.
be
You can
listening
watch
to
it
this
live.
right now. Even though you are listening to this right now, the other you that is already in the past would have already listened to this,
That's
and
right.
you would be doing something else right now.
I know. Ask Chris, who just keeps daydreaming off every time I talk about facts.
We will see you
I don't like
guys.
facts and numbers and math.
We'll see you guys next week.
Take care.